Then Gurudev, wherever he used to go to Harikatha, he also always took us. And he always told, you always associate with me. Then you can learn everything, then one day realization will come. He told one thing, I just remember, what I am speaking, maybe you not understand, this is true. But after my departure, then some realization will come. He told this word. And because when Guru presents in this material world, sometimes disciple cannot understand his inner heart or inner mood. But when Guru departed from this material world, then disciple, he felt pang of separation from his Guru, and that time the mercy of Guru, then automatically the realization will manifest in his heart. This is our Shastra also. And Uddhav, he told, and Maitri Rishi, Uddhav Maitri Sangvad, when Krishna was in this material world, actually that time I cannot understand to him. That time he was thinking he is an ordinary person and was playing, laughing, joking. As like the shadow of the moon under the water, then fish are thinking, oh, this may be one kind of fish, for this is the reflection of the moon. That time shadow, that time fish also playing with him. But fish does not, fish, they don't know this is the reflection of moon. In the same way, Uddhav, he told, when Guru Vaisnavas staying in this material world, actually that time we cannot understand. But when he departed from this material world, then we understand what things I got and what things I lost.
Very ordinary parikrama. My Gurudev and Bhaktivedanta Narayana sitting on a ordinary bus, roadway bus, understand? And we are 7 or 8 people. One Vishnu Priya Devi, Didi, Pishi, he is the Param Gurudev disciple, he is living. He is the very much hot and very hilly country. In Nainital she came, very strong and very tall and very strong. She is doing every activity, bring Jamuna water for cooking the dal, because in that mart no sweet water, all the salty. Every day they go to Jamuna. And when Subhananda Babu came, then he had brought the outside tap, sweet water. They have done so much. But I remember Subhananda came, then Premananda Babu came, some after the month or 1 year, I not remember. But Maharaj giving the lecture, that lecture I never heard in that type kotha. And Gurudev also, that time I plant a seed. In future, if I give up my house, then I must be stay in the Mathura. And also that time they are also inspire me. In this way, Maharaj that time giving the, and that time Maharaj sometime after his Gurudev departure, he was in the Navadvip Dham. 3 years, 4 years continuously living. That time I time to time go to the Navadvip Dham in Devananda Gauriya Math. And that time Gurudev giving the class of Madhurya Kadamini. How beautiful, what is the bhakti? Vishwanath Chakravarti, Rup Goswami told, but Vishwanath Chakravarti very more clearly, minutely looking what is the bhakti, how nishtha, what is the Maharaj giving 4-5 years. It is very important, Madhurya Kadamini who are now doing bhajan. So in this way, Guru Maharaj was giving inspiration to Braj Bhakti. And how that time very small people coming in the temple. Not so much outside people, but how Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj every night after class, after Arati, when he used to go outside with 5-6 brahmachari. How many brahmachari were that time? He used to go outside every Brajavasi's house. He told before in morning time or noon, afternoon, he told any Brajavasi had asked any ladies coming, he told, I will go your house today, giving the Harikatha. No need to feed to us, no cooking, nothing, but you give your time to hear my Katha. So they are Maharaj going, walking. Not nearby, maybe Holy Grace, maybe are more further, and come back. I remember that time, maybe 11 o'clock, night time, they ting, kasor, they are playing and coming, walking. And then Maharaj take prasad.
2003, I believe it was 2003, I had gone through a lot. I had lost my marriage, and my children were taken away from me for being a devotee. My family felt it was unsafe traveling with my children, and I had really lost everything and was in a Rahu period, very intense period in my life. And at one point, Gurudeva was on the big island at Vrindavans, and he was writing books in the winter like he did every year. And I just knew that I needed to get to Gurudeva, and I somehow came up with the money to get on an airplane. And I didn't have maybe anything but maybe $7 or $8 in my pocket. And when I got off the plane, I didn't even know where Hali Eva was. And I asked the very first people I turned to if I could get a ride out of the airport. And they said, well, where are you going? And I said, I need to get to Hali Eva. And they said, well, we're going to Hali Eva. And they took me and they dropped me off in front of the health food store in Hali Eva. And there happened to be a vegetarian restaurant in the back. So I went in the back and I broke out a set of tarot cards, because I read tarot cards, to try to make enough money to buy myself some lunch and put some money in my pocket. And two girls sit down and I did their tarot reading. And after I did their tarot reading, I shared my story with them, which was that my Srila Gurudeva was on the island and that I didn't know where I needed to be, but that I was here to see him. And they explained to me that they had rented a really large home and that they had extra room because it was the same price to rent this big house as it was a small house. And they suggested, why don't we drop off your luggage at the house, and then we can go for a drive and see where you're supposed to go in the morning, because I knew I needed to be there at 6 in the morning for darshan. So we went for a drive and they pulled in and we looked at the address, and it was actually right next door to Vrindavans. So I was very fortunate to get to stay next door. And I have this pastime with Guru that's very private and I haven't shared very many times, but for 1 week I got to wake up at 3:30 in the morning and watch Gurudev get up and do his pranams to the deities and walk into the bathroom and do his morning routine. I was peering over a bush, so I don't think anybody but Gurudev inside his heart knew that I was watching. And it reminded me of Shamarani's paintings of the gopis peering through the bushes to get a look at our beloved Gurudev. And I think about this at the time, that I was invited to clean his bedroom and to serve him, and so many conversations and being able to have darshan every single day with him at that point, and how gracious the devotees were to make these arrangements for me, and Gurudev creating a miracle that I could stay right next door. It's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it. Out of all the hundreds, thousands of people in Hawaii on vacation, and I'm going to pick people that are staying right next door. So this seems to be one of my fondest memories of Gurudev, making sure that everything was provided for and that we were taken care of. And I think this is one of my lessons that I learned, to really trust Gurudev, that he was providing for me. There's a part 2 of the story that I really got scolded from Gurudev is, so after these girls left, I ended up, because Gurudev was on the island for about a month, I ended up staying at the guy who owned the restaurants, behind his restaurant. And Gurudev was leaving, and I got up at like 3:30 in the morning, and it was raining out and windy out, and I walked probably like 7 miles up the road. And right as I got there, Gurudev's car was coming down the driveway. Vrindavan was in the driver's seat, Gurudev was in the front, Madhava Maharaj in the back. And he rolled down the window and he yelled at me, "What are you doing?" And for many years I thought Gurudev was really angry at me. And I always was thinking, Gurudev, I needed to see you, I wanted to see you. But in hindsight, as a parent and as an adult, I look back and I think, he was worried about me. Like, what were you doing out on the road at 4:30 in the morning? But there was that compulsion to go see him so that he knew that this was important to me. And I was always so afraid he was mad at me. And I look back now and he wasn't mad at me. He was being like my father, which is how I felt about Gurudev. I was so ignorant. I didn't have the intelligence to see my Guru as the spiritual master. I saw him as my father who loved me. And in that way, I made myself kind of a nuisance at times, always knocking on his door, asking so many unrelated questions to Bhakti, just trying to get his attention and to see if he would remember me. And in that way, I created a father-daughter relationship. So when Gurudev would write a letter, "My darling daughter," I know for a fact that that's how he felt about me. I am his darling daughter. And sometimes, like a parent, I took my relationship with Gurudev for granted, always thinking that he would be there for me at any moment or any time. And in hindsight, how lucky I was that I was covered over to not know, to be afraid, and that I just made sure that I had that relationship with him, and I guess still having that relationship with him, because here I am.